Hi, everybody. Today we're going to learn about Miss Ruby Bridges, who's a kid just like you. You can see her here. Um, so let's get started. So, Miss Ruby Bridges was a first grader from New Orleans, Louisiana, in the United States. In the year 1960, which was 61 years ago, she was a 6-year-old girl and African American. So you can see Ruby right here in her little school dress. Very cute girl. So where did she live? Where was New Orleans, Louisiana? You can see New Orleans in 1960 right here. This is how it looked when Ruby was growing up. It was a beautiful, lively place to live. However, when Ruby Bridges was growing up, it was very hard for Black people who lived there. Black means the same thing as African American. Um, People who were not white faced racism. And I'll explain that more. But here's just where you can see New Orleans is right here. You can see it's in the southern part of the US. And here's Texas, where I live. So I've been to New Orleans before because it's very close. And you can see here, this is a very famous parade in New Orleans. It's called Mardi Gras, but it's in Spain. I think it's the same thing as Jueves Lardero. Um, but you can see it's a very, very fun place to live. So, racism or treating white people better was very bad in the southern United States, where New Orleans was. The government even let it happen through an action known as segregation. Segregation means to separate. That meant that Black people legally, like by the law, could not live, eat, drink, or even ride the bus in the same places as white people could. And they couldn't go to school together either. So you can see even the water fountain, Black people could only drink from this water fountain, and then white people drank from a different one. You can see this guy over here, but and you can see here two different pictures of schools. The Black people in this school, it's all Black students, and then here it's all white students. And the reason this was a problem was because everything, like the white schools and the white water fountains and the white restaurants and the white areas, were so much better, not better, but so much, they had more money, they were more wealthy, and it was very unfair that Black people and white people couldn't be in the same places. So when Ruby was 6 years old, it was the year 1960, like we said, and people had begun to realize how unfair segregation was, especially in schools. A judge ordered 4 Black girls to go to all white schools. Ruby Bridges was the only one sent to William Frantz Elementary School. So you can see right here, this is William Frantz Elementary School now. And you can see here pictures of people protesting segregation and wanting their children to go to the same schools as white kids. So the day before she went, her parents prayed and prayed she would be safe when she went to school the next day. On Ruby's first day of first grade, there was a large crowd of white people outside the school who were angry that she came to school because they didn't want a Black girl to learn with their children. They held up signs. Some of them even wanted to hurt her. The New Orleans and Louisiana police did not help Ruby. So you can see Ruby, she's just a little girl. She's 6 years old. She's very small. And then there's all these people, and even girls like her says, we want to keep our school white. They didn't want her, and they wanted to hurt her even. And it was very, very scary. So, the President of the United States, at the time, it's President Eisenhower. You can see him right here. Um, he ordered his own soldiers and men to go to New Orleans to protect Ruby Bridges. They carried guns and walked her to school. Every single day for months, the president's men walked little Ruby from her house to school. Whenever anyone yelled at her or tried to hurt her, the men threatened to arrest them. And they did arrest some people. So you can see the schools here, tiny little Ruby and these big men with guns had to protect her and walk her home. You can see here, she's leaving school and here she's going to school. Ruby was very brave, but when she started school, her classmates' parents, who were white, took their children out of the school. Some teachers even refused to teach her, except one, Miss Henry. So you can see Miss Henry and Ruby right here. Ruby had no friends, and she was all alone at lunch and in her classes. So in her class, it was like this. It was only her and Miss Henry the whole entire day. However, every single day, she worked hard to learn and came to school smiling, even though she knew she wouldn't have any friends there. Eventually, the protesters got tired of their children not going to school, and slowly the white children came back. Little Ruby continued to get her education and even went on to graduate high school from the France school. So you can see Ruby there, cute girl, cute girl. Today, we remember Ruby Bridges as an important American hero for people everywhere. Because of her bravery, American children everywhere can learn and be educated equally. So, Ruby is a symbol for equality. Here is a famous painting of her by Norman Rockwell, who is a very famous American painter. So you can see little Ruby, she's right here. She's got her books, she's in her school dress, and then the big soldiers who are there to protect her. And this is just a very famous American painting by a very famous person. Now, one more slide to show y'all. Ruby today. Ruby is only 66 years old. And that might seem really old to you, but I mean, she's not that old. She could be your grandma. And here you can see Miss Ruby Bridges with Miss Henry. Miss Henry is still alive also. The only teacher who would teach her at her school. And this is them both in 2014. And this is Miss Ruby Bridges today. And yeah, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching, and I hope that you learned something. And have a great day.